Creep Mistress, Jessica Bryant, and with me, as always, is my friend and Spook 'em Up enthusiast, Ben Scuria.
Hey, everybody.
How's it going, Ben?
It's going great. It's going great. I'm very excited for tonight's episode. I'm always excited for the show, but tonight is a real special. It has a real special place. I'm very excited. Yeah.
I'm glad. Yeah. Because tonight we are discussing a long-standing internet spook that I believe you yourself requested on our last episode.
I did. I love creepypasta and things that sort of come from that. And tonight's is probably the most famous of the creepypasta stories. So
definitely. And just in case people in the audience don't know what a creepypasta is, Ben, would you care to define a creepypasta?
I would love to, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but basically creepypasta is a sort of an internet ghost story or an internet story that gets passed around in message boards. And it started, I think, on like lots of message boards where people would just leave like really creepy things. And a lot of them are written in first person so that they sound like they really happened. A lot of them are like, this is a real event that happened to me or somebody I know.
Yeah.
So it's never told like a story. It's always told about something that either happened or is current or is still happening to the person.
Yes, yeah.
And there are a lot of them. There are a lot of different really creepy ones.
You did a great job. You did a great job defining it.
Thank you.
That's exactly what it is. You know, just a scary story that gets copy and pasted, posted around, changes. Sometimes it changes a lot. Sometimes they only keep a few important details. So, you know, like you said, sometimes it's first person. Blah blah blah.
Spooketti, Jay Cashin, exactly, Spooketti.
Oh no, I don't have the comments up. Okay, hi, King Senior. Hi, Jay Cashin. Sorry. Spookatini.
Oh no, throw in more pasta scary puns in the chat, please.
Tonight we are discussing a long-standing internet spook. I already said that part. Blah 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 blah. Okay, so yes, we are doing Slender Man. He's unnaturally tall, pale as a ghost with 2 long limbs. Goulash, get out. Hey, Creepos.
Sup, Emlo?
Mecha Grow.
TVD, nice.
I love it. Yes, 2 long limbs, all dressed in black. He may abduct you in the night or compel you to kill someone you know. That's right! Tonight, we are talking about the Slender Man. Let me pull up my fucking PowerPoint here that I forgot.
PowerPoint added to the stream.
Yes, here we go. The PowerPoint! And I refuse to activate this product.
Wouldn't be Midnight Creepout without the activation.
Yeah, exactly.
Message.
Listen. Oh God.
Oh God.
I'm trying to. You know what? It's because I'm trying to. Oh God. It's fine. Okay.
It's all good.
The Slender Man. Okay. So. Yes. How familiar are you with Slender Man? It sounds like you're pretty familiar with Slender Man.
So I'm familiar with like the real basics of it. I think I read a story about it at some point, and then I know the sort of big case that came out of it that I think we're going to be talking about a little bit. But I don't really know the origins. I don't really know. I'd like to know more because it's definitely something that creeps me out. But it's like it's one of those things that creeps me out enough that like because isn't part of it, and you can talk about it. But isn't like part of it that you don't. The more you talk about him, I always thought there was a connection, sort of like if you talk about him, like that brings him to you, or like if you're talking about him. I always heard that was like a thing. So.
Yeah, actually, we can talk about that a little bit later. So as the modern legend goes, Slender Man is a monster in the shape of a man who often lurks in the woods or abandoned places. He's up to 10 feet tall, has no face, and wears a black suit. He often stalks his targets first, offering brief glimpses to terrorize his victims and make them question their sanity. Slender Man has a number of telepathic or telekinetic skills and can compel his victims to do his bidding. Those affected by his powers may experience unexplained coughing, paranoia, and lost time. He is sometimes depicted with 2 or 4 extra limbs or tentacles that sprout from his back or upper shoulders. Yeah, that is that's your intro to Slender Man. right there.
That is terrifying.
I know, right? He's creepy. This is creepy as heck. Like, what? And I didn't really get into, like, you know, the inspirations for Slender Man, but there are several. There's, like, you know, folklore and ghost stories and that kind of stuff. There's also, like, there's characters on other shows. Like, there's a character on one, like, an early episode, season 2 of Buffy that kind of looks like Slender Man. But that was long before Slender Man came on the scene. So he's obviously, as you said, ubiquitous on creepy internet forums. But unlike most, just saw Dedicini.
Yeah, Dedicini is a. I like that one.
So unlike most well-known folklore, his origins are easy to find. Sorry, it's fucking dark in here. Slender Man made his debut on June 8th, 2009, so pretty recent, when the web forum Something Awful ran a Photoshop contest to see who could best alter a real photo to make it creepy. User Victor Surge, whose real name is Eric Knudsen, spelled with a K, a silent K, posted 2 photos he said were from the 1980s, depicting a tall, sinister figure lurking behind groups of children. He also posted them with accompanying text. Obviously, this first one, we didn't want to go. We didn't want to kill them. But its persistent silence and outstretched arms horrified and comforted us at the same time.
Horrified and comforted is such a terrifying duo.
Yeah, I don't like that at all.
No.
You know, presumably from 1983, photographer unknown, however, presumed dead. And you'll notice, obviously, there's the children here, and then this tall, creepy figure back here that you just can't quite make out what's going on there. And then there was a second photo that he posted, which was this one. Again, with accompanying text. One of the 2 recovered photographs from the Sterling City Library blaze, notable for being taken the day which 14 children vanished, and for what is referred to as the Slender Man. Deformities cited as film defects by officials. Fire at library occurred 1 week later. Actual photograph confiscated as evidence. 1986, photographer Mary Thomas, missing since June 13th, 1986.
What?
And then you'll notice, obviously, you know, the child going up the slide, and we got the kids here. But in the background, a tall, creepy man, and he's got some sort of stuff. He's got 3 little tentacle things coming out over here.
Does he have like little kids standing next to him?
Yes, there's little kids standing.
Oh, that's
one.
terrifying.
This one almost seems to be turned facing him. Yeah, there's
this is actually giving me the chills. I don't like that.
Of small children around him. Very creepy. Not, you know, very creepy. And of course, you know, as we know, this is all made up, right? It was for a contest, but still very creepy. And you know, even I mean, his creator, I don't think you ever do. Eric Knudsen, you know, would never have imagined how huge Slender Man would have exploded, but explode it certainly did. I believe the next day. So he posted those first 2 on June 8th. Okay, sorry. Then 3 days later, on June 11th, 2009, he continued to improve, or add to the myth by adding another picture and a fake doctor's account. It says, you know, it's saying it's like, I'm not even sure like what these numbers are supposed to be. I assume it's date, but it says 1994. So I don't know.
Yeah.
So obviously, Wilkes Estate, one subject reported nothing out of the ordinary before taking the photograph. Lower stairs area was said to be very dark. Subject states that after the camera flash, she heard a sound like a watermelon being unable to understand subject.
What the hell does that mean?
I think that means it's like it's a recording.
Oh, like a watermelon being something.
No.
Gotcha.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
A watermelon being, and they couldn't understand what she said.
The watermelon next. Can't understand.
Yeah, this watermelon. Yeah, exactly.
Unable to understand. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. So then, you know, the next day, the doctor has another, he writes more notes. Subject unable to recall events after man or power failure. unable to question other two identified subjects. Camera and film acquired from Gloria Creedy, current resident of Woodview Mental Hospital and Psychological Rehabilitation Clinic. Film mostly uncontaminated despite massive blood and human tissue present on camera.
What?
No positive ID on anomalous, tall and slender subject. Facial blur caused by possible contamination.
Okay, can we talk about this picture? Because I'm not sure what I'm actually seeing here.
So you can see, so it's obviously a picture taken in a mirror, right? Here's the woman with the camera.
Oh, so that's the one with the camera.
Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. Here's a woman. This woman is also holding a camera, but here's the person with the camera, obviously.
Right.
Then here's Slender Man with a tentacle coming in front of her. That's what this is right here. So the tentacle is coming in front of the camera, and the camera is capturing it here. And then there's another human here, and you'll notice there's another tentacle coming around this woman's shoulder. You can kind of see it there. Very unsettling,
like that.
You might say. Someone's high. Grace.
Hey, abolish the Senate.
Hey, abolish the Senate. What's going on, man? Grace Elin saying, I didn't make it into watermelon college. Listen, we can't all make it into watermelon college. Not all of us graduate in the top 5% of our class.
Gallagher is the dean of watermelon college.
Yeah, I know, the watermelon. It is weird. I'm assuming like it was supposed to be like a watermelon being smashed.
Yeah.
Like a watermelon being like, what other word could it
being
possibly
crushed?
have been?
Yeah.
Yeah, crushed, smashed, destroyed.
That kind of noise. Yeah.
Like a watermelon being thrown on the floor. Yeah,
this is Slender Man.
Slender Man.
Slender Man?
The man who is slender. Abolish the Senate. You missed it, but we're talking about the origins of the Slender Man. We'll back up for Abolish the Senate. Here's the first picture that ever appeared on the internet for a Photoshop contest, and here's Slender Man in the back here. And then here you'll see this is Ben's favorite picture of the Slender Man right here.
Why looking at this again?
Yeah, with his little tentacles and his circle of children. You could almost hear them saying like, okay. And then here's the one we're talking about now. So the original creator of Slender Man posted this on July 11th, 2000, and what did I say? I lost it. 2009.
2009.
Yeah. And okay, so then obviously the doctor moves on. Early digital analysis indicates tall subject may have no eyes. Anomalies previously thought to be film errors and flash artifacts now thought to be appendages. Final identified subject reported missing, along with other 33 patients and staff of Woodview Mental Hospital and Psychological Rehabilitation Clinic South Wing. And then 8 days later, further inquiry to cease immediately.
Creepy. So this started as like a Photoshop thing, and then just sort of took on a life of its own.
Yes. So we're gonna keep going here. So then after that, other people started posting things about it. So the next day, Something Awful. So this would be the 12th. So the next day, Something Awful user Leech Code 5 posted a photograph. Two photographs with the following text. I've been seriously debating sharing these, but after Victor Surge's posts, I feel like I have to. So Victor Surge was the
guy who posted the original.
Exactly. Photos. Thank you very much. And so it's like it's so fun because it's like this person creates a character and then someone else sees it and they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna like add to it and make up something else. Like, oh man, well, since you said you saw this creepy thing, now I have to come out and tell you my story about this creepy thing that I saw. That's kind of fun, right? This first photo was given to me by my uncle, a police officer who was part of the investigation trying to find 9 missing teens who had gone camping in the local mountains 6 years ago. It was developed from a disposable camera found at the campsite. None of the missing teens have ever been found, and all their possessions were still at the campsite. He was pretty drunk and shaken up when he gave me this, and made me promise I'd never show anyone else.
Yeah, you want to look at a picture. You can't show anybody this picture.
I know, right?
And then really, if my drunk uncle says he's going to show me a picture and I can't show it to anybody else, this is probably the best case scenario for what that picture could be of. Just saying.
Definitely. Definitely.
Balls said this is probably one of the first creepypastas. So we started talking to creepypasta, I think, before you got here. I don't know if it's one of the first, but it's certainly the most famous. So it is a creepypasta. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So yes, as you can see in this picture, it's very low quality. I can only find a small version of it. I couldn't find a big version of it. But obviously here, between these two trees, is a pale white face and a dark silhouette. Ooh. And
That's
then he posted this next one. I'll take you a second. Ben, see if you can find Slender Man in this photo.
All right.
The second photo is of an elementary school fire.
I found him and I hate it. I hate it. I zoomed in and I found him and I hate it.
Yay!
Oh, that's the worst.
So, yes, Slenderman is up here in the fire.
Yeah, you're right. Plume. It's in the plume.
Yes,
he's right there, standing on top of the building.
Yep, plume. Exactly, King Senior. So no official cause was ever found. 7 students and a teacher became trapped and died before firefighters could respond. Many of the students and teachers from the time have a history of anxiety disorders and panic attacks, even those who weren't at the school on that day. At least one has since committed suicide, and several others legally changed their names once they reached adulthood and have disappeared. Ooh, very creepy. And from there, Slenderman began showing up on other websites. The first time, so at the time, it didn't have the same connotation as it does now, but 4chan is where it showed up next.
And yeah, Balls just said it like 2009 is when the very first Surge picture went up, was in 2009, I think, right?
Yes.
And
June
then
2009.
And then Creepypasta's Reddit site, at least, like didn't start, or the wiki didn't start till 2010. So they were right around the same time, which is crazy.
So this art showed up on June 24th on 4chan by user Gara Monster. If you know who Gara is, hit me up in that chat. And so from here on out, the Creepypasta / Slenderman meme was born. Yeah, that's true. He is nothing if not slender. I kind of like this modern take on Little Red Riding Hood. You know, she's got her red hood, she's got her flashlight, she's walking through the forest to grandma's house.
It's also kind of makes Slender Man look like Hitman 47 from the video game Hitman.
Yeah, right?
Just got a nice suit on.
A little bit.
Suit and tie.
Yeah. That's great. Over the years, Slender Man became more and more well known. I'm sorry. I skipped something very important. Okay. So by June 20th, so this was about 10 days after the first post showed up on the internet, a video series that would eventually feature Slender Man as its antagonist began appearing on YouTube. Marble Hornets is a web series of 92 fucking videos.
What?
Varying, I know, right? Varying in length from 1 to 15 minutes, that tells the story of a group of film students attempting to create a film. But things quickly start to go awry. It's filmed in a found footage style. So it kind of looks like, like Blair Witch Project a little bit, but actually a lot of it is filmed during the day instead of the nighttime, which is interesting. And it follows a main protagonist who begins to question his own sanity as he experiences stranger and stranger occurrences and tries to unravel the mystery of what happened to his friends. I have watched the whole thing. As recommended to me by a Tinder date last summer. Stefan, if you're out there, fuck you. But it's actually pretty good. It's slow to start, okay? But when it gets you real good. And I'm actually, now that I know, I didn't realize that this only started like literally 11 days after the first, meme ever hit the internet waves, if you will. So that's like pretty impressive that they like came up with this whole thing. The channel has over 570,000 subscribers and tens of millions of views. So it's really well known. There was actually a film adaptation at some point. I don't know if anyone ever watched it, but there it is. But it's really good. You should watch it.
I'm gonna watch it. Yeah, I'm gonna watch it.
Here is a screen cap from maybe like one of the last like 10 episodes, and it is real creepy, and the special effects are really good. This episode fucked with my fucking life. You can see a person is passed out here. He's dropped his camera, and someone here is confronting the Slender Man. With his creepy, look at these fucking long arms. You know, the legs are creepy, but I think the arms are almost creepier. You know, I was reading something they were talking about, like one of the things that makes him creepy is the fact that he like is on the line of like what's familiar and foreign, and it's kind of like an uncanny valley kind of thing.
I hear that.
Yeah. Ooh, I don't like it. Not a fan.
No.
So yes, as I skipped ahead earlier, over the years, Slender Man became more and more well known and began showing up more in pop culture. The Enderman from Minecraft is actually based on Slender Man, which is interesting. I don't know if anyone has made it to the end and beat the End Dragon, but yeah, in Minecraft, Endermen are these creepy creatures that move blocks around. They'll steal your little blocks, and if you look at them, they try to kill you. So don't look at them. Yes, you're right. Abolish the Senate. Slender Man does imply the existence of Slender Man's tailor. Although I suppose if he's, you know, doing things in a supernatural way, then it's possible that, you know, he just manifests a well-fitted suit.
Either a tailor or a seamstress. Somebody is making Slender Man's outfits.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, are they a ghost or are they a supernatural entity like Slenderman? Are they, you know, are they on a planet?
Yes.
You know, is Slenderman, is he a cryptid? What will we classify Slenderman as?
A demon, maybe?
Maybe a demon? Maybe. Yeah, maybe. So in 2012, Slender the 8 Pages video game came out. I believe it is still available on Steam for download. Very cheap, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So this was a game in which you roam a dark forest in some creepy like buildings, looking for 8 notebook pages. But if Slenderman catches you, you will be enveloped in snowy TV static. I have played it.
I've played this game on my iPhone and it's terrifying.
Yeah, it's creepy. He fucking, because, okay, so I think this is where you're talking about, like, if you talk about him or whatever, or you're like, I don't know, but the closer you get to getting all 8 pages and the more you use your flashlight, the more he comes after you.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to try not to use your flashlight, if I remember correctly. But I was unable to beat this game. Ben, did you ever get all 8 pages?
No, I did. I think I got caught like twice and I never played again because it scared me too much.
Okay. Yeah, I think I only ever got up to 3 pages. I don't think I ever got all of them. But I do like they have a very much The Ring vibe.
Yep.
You know? Classic horror movie stuff. And then Slender the Arrival was a 2014 follow-up. In 2018, a feature-length film was made, you know, starring people you never heard of. And unfortunately, it was widely panned, critically and otherwise. People did not like this movie.
8%. Wow,
yeah.
that is very rotten.
Yeah, and the audience score is only 17. That's really bad too.
Yeah, that's when it's bad.
Yeah, it is. It is not good. So, you know, as we've admitted so far, obviously this is all made up. It's fake. It's an urban legend, a modern urban legend, but this would not be the Midnight Creepout if there wasn't a true creepy story attached to it. And so we're gonna move on to that.
Yeah, King Senior. I think if I think he's demon, then what? King Senior asked, well, "What does he do?" He doesn't even bite. I think he sort of seems to me like the kind of demon who like would like suck your essence, right? Or like, you know what I mean? Just sort of like somehow almost absorb you, if you will. Or like your life force.
So he uses telepathic, and he can teleport. That's important. and he can use telepathic and telekinetic powers to mess with your mind. And oh no, you guessed. Uh, and he uses those powers to manipulate people into doing his bidding and to like make them go insane. So actually, it kind of reminds me, and actually, Slender Man almost kind of looks like H.P. Lovecraft, you know.
In the Mouth of Madness, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That you know, a creepy entity that contacts you telepathically and wants you to do its bidding and forces you to kill people, and in the end, you know, it doesn't give a shit about you at all. It's like a crazy eldritch horror, you know, an elder god that could not give a shit about you. So unfortunately, so the Slender Man mythos has taken on a life of its own, obviously. It exploded over the internet over the last 2 years. It spawned thousands of stories and legends. And unfortunately, like many stupid internet things, sometimes it's taken a bit too seriously. In 2014, this is real now. What I'm about to tell you is real. In 2014, two 12-year-old girls, Anissa Weir and Morgan Geyser, became obsessed with Slender Man. They had read the stories, the creepypastas online, and came to believe that Slender Man was real and lived in a mansion in the woods near their Wisconsin suburb.
Of course he did.
Yeah, right? Because that fucking makes sense.
Because that's where I'd live if I was a demon. I'd live in Wisconsin.
Right. I mean, okay, first of all, look at these two fucking nerds. Okay. Second of all, in 6th grade, I was definitely not that gullible. Right? Like
I would like to think I was not. Yeah, I was 11. I'm 11 years old.
12. They were 12.
12.
Like that makes a big difference. But like
yeah.
it was May, they're on the verge of middle school, right?
No shade to Wisconsin to be a demon. I just mean if you were a demon who could live anywhere, I don't feel like Wisconsin, you know, you really only get a couple months of really good weather. Right. There are also, better woods to live in.
Right.
Also, why would you live in a mansion in the woods? Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. Who builds a mansion in the woods of Wisconsin? Anyway. So they decided, so like I said, they decided that Slender Man was real, and they wanted to please him and become his proxies, whatever the fuck that means. They believed they needed to kill someone to appease the internet urban legend, almost like a gang, right? They had to like kill someone to get in. And so these two 6th grade girls plotted a murder. They invited their friend Peter Lautner to a sleepover one May weekend, and in the morning lured her into the woods near a park for a game of hide and seek. They pinned her to the ground, and Morgan stabbed Peyton 19 times with a 5-inch kitchen knife in the arms, legs, and abdomen, cutting her stomach and liver and missing a major artery by 1 millimeter. Obviously, in this photo, you can see the picture of the knife. It was inside a bag they were carrying, so you can see her like fucking notebook and a package of M&Ms. Like, how fucking surreal is that?
And it's the woman on the girl on the left is Morgan, I believe.
This is Morgan.
Yeah, she's the one that did the stabbing.
You can see the blood on her coat. I don't know whose pants these are.
I'm gonna guess they're the girl they stabbed.
I don't know.
Maybe not.
Maybe
not. Maybe anyway, Alyssa just has no torso.
Maybe.
That's just a full body picture.
Could be the case. It's Anissa. Unsubscribes.
You've heard of a slender person, but this is the different. This is a squat person. And this is squat. She just goes from her shoulders to her pants.
Slender Man and squat woman. So Anissa, or Anissa maybe, told Peyton to lie down so she wouldn't lose blood so quickly and to be quiet. They told her they would bring help, but obviously they didn't. Peyton managed to crawl to a road where she was found by a cyclist who called 911. Morgan and Anissa were found later that day walking on the side of the road near the interstate, almost 5 miles away from where they had tried to kill their friend. The knife they had used was in a bag they were carrying. Fortunately, Peyton survived the attack and left the hospital 7 days later. Both of these girls were tried as adults in court and stood trial in 2017. Morgan was charged with attempted first-degree homicide and accepted a plea deal, but was later found not guilty by mental disease or defect by a jury. She was evaluated by psychiatrists and found to have schizophrenia. Her father also suffered or suffers from schizophrenia. She was given the maximum sentence of 40 years to life in a mental hospital, with at least 3 of those years in locked confinement, where she will stay until, quote, complete resolution of symptoms or age 53, whichever comes first. Anissa was charged with second-degree attempted murder and was also found not guilty by mental disease or defect. She was sentenced to 25 years to life in a mental hospital, but was just ordered released by a judge 2 weeks ago after serving just 3 years, and will have communal supervision until the age of 37. So she was ordered to be released, I believe, on Thursday, September 9th, and she got out on the 13th. So literally less than 2 weeks ago, this 19-year-old woman.
Why not, boys? She's single.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Hey, you like Slender Man?
Hey, you like pasta?
What
about
creepypasta? You like some creepypasta? I make you some creepypasta. I mean, not for me, TBAD.
Oh, Ben. She can mod for 2MB. She's single and ready to stab. Yeah, right? Although she didn't do she says she didn't do any stabbing. Who knows? But who knows what actually happened out there? You know what I mean?
Wait, so this is Alyssa? No, I can't get her name right. Anissa. Yeah. That's Anissa, because that looks more like at least you would think that looks more like the other one.
She had a little bit of a glow up, right? So this is Anissa and this is Morgan. And then you can kind of tell her face a little bit. Sure, she's got that wide set nose, kind of a squat face. But she pulled a Neville Longbottom. She had a little bit of a glow up.
Jail did her well.
Yeah, exactly. You know what?
She had time to work on herself, and she came out a better person.
Right. I believe this photo is actually in 2018 when she was 17, I want to say. I think is when this photo was taken. So gross, Ben, is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, so although she still bears the scars of her friend's betrayal, Peyton spoke to 2020 in 2019 and told them she was happy and planning to attend college and pursue a career in a medical field. Yeah. So good for Peyton. She's alive. She made it. She sees herself as a survivor. She even said that if she were to meet Morgan or Anissa now, that she might even thank them because what happened to her has turned her into the person she is today. However, this was 2 years before she knew they were going to get out after fucking 3 years. So this crime happened in 2014. It took them 3 years to stand trial in 2017. They didn't go into custody until 2018. And now, they're getting out. At least one of them has gotten out. Although I don't agree. I think that they were tried as adults at fucking 12 years old. What's the point then of having 2 separate systems if people are going to get tried as adults at 12 years old? That doesn't fucking make any sense.
Yeah, exactly. Don't thank them for your trauma.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
They lured you to the park and stabbed you 19 times.
I know. Again, she was 17 when she made that statement, so who fucking knows, right? She's just trying to make the best out of a fucking terrible situation.
I mean, she's got a great story to tell.
Yeah, absolutely, right? But like I said, although I don't agree that they were tried as adults, 3 years. Come on, man. You fucking tried to murder someone in cold blood. Like, shit.
Yeah. That seems real lenient.
And, can we not expedite this shit? Am I crazy? You know what I mean? it happened in 2014. They didn't go to trial until 2017. You're telling me that there's like enough cases between them and the front of the line that they couldn't like.
Well, no, and then they do
Push
trial.
some
Then
shit
they
out.
do like they push motions
And
forward.
there was
And they do. I mean,
appeals, yeah.
our legal system. It's a different horror story. We could just talk about how long it takes people to get a trial. But it rarely happens that way.
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously that's creepy. That's awful. You know, hide your kids, hide your wives, hide your knives.
Hide your wives and knives.
Yeah, hide your kids, hide your knives. Because
That's
you know, who knows? Your kid's gonna fucking get stabbed to death in the fucking woods by your friends.
I will say
Christ
though,
almighty.
the Friends reminds me. There's a movie called Heavenly Creatures that was made in the 90s, and it's a Peter Jackson movie, and it's about these murders that took place in New Zealand in 1954, where two best friends killed one of their mothers. And what reminds me of it is that these two friends sort of, there was no Slender Man, but they did sort of enter a fantasy world together. They were sort of like they were sort of began to move away from reality, and sort of had this like joint psychosis, right? I do think when you're of a certain age and you have a relationship with somebody, you can push each other to these crazy things. That's not an excuse, but like it reminds me of that. Worth checking out that movie if you haven't seen it. I recommend.
What's it called again?
It's called Heavenly Creatures.
Heavenly Creatures.
That's very, very good.
Goodness gracious. Yeah. I mean, group psychosis can totally happen. Like there was that whole thing in like the 1600s where people danced until they died, like fucking tens of people. So it's totally yeah, it happens. Okay, so I was thinking maybe we could do something kind of fun. I have pulled up the 16 terrifying Slender Man creepypasta stories that will keep you up at night. Ben, you want to give me a number between 1 and 16? And maybe we'll go ahead and read it aloud.
Number 9.
Number 9. Okay, hold on. I got to count them. Okay.
Number 9.
1, 2.
Number 9.
3. Holy shit. Don't make me 4. Hold on. 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, 8 is long. Okay, 9. The Abandoned Elementary School Scarecrow is what it's called. Oh. Stillakilla shared this story to ranker.com. And again, you know, it's told in the first person, right? Yeah, winning title, J Cash, and I agree. 2 days ago was another late night at my job as an internet sales coordinator for a large car dealership. Oh, that's crazy. Oh. I worked at a car dealership and we had an internet sales coordinator too. A small world. Although this guy says he doesn't have a car. I don't have a car. So I always get rides with my coworkers or my boss, who all treat me like their little brother. The usual late customer stays until it's past closing, and we're able to leave when they finally finish negotiating and start signing. My boss always takes the same route home, driving by my old elementary school that is off the main road on an underlit side street. The school has been abandoned for some time, and there's overgrown grass and vines crawling up the face of the building. It's a small building, maybe the length of a football field and 2 stories high, emulates the size of our small town well. To the right of the building is a parking area. It leads around to the back, and the space was mainly used for play during recess. Recently, as a few days ago, there has been some sort of construction work on the area behind the school. This past Monday, when we drove by, as my boss goes down the street past the school as usual, I catch a glimpse of a large hill of dug-up dirt and some orange construction flags about 50 feet away from the road we were on. Under an eerie orange-tinted streetlight that was behind the school, I saw on top of this dirt was some sort of malnourished-looking figure wearing a long-sleeved shirt and black pants that were rolled up. Immediately, I rationalized that it was a scarecrow because it stood completely frozen. 2 wooden pegs stood where the legs would be, and the arms were held partially outward, but dead still. It was facing toward me, and where the head would be, I could see a blank, lighter colored space, kind of like Slender Man. I thought it was quite odd that there would be a scarecrow on top of a pile of dirt behind an abandoned school, and I couldn't wrap my head around why. Did you see that? I said to my boss, paying attention to the road. He did not. Oh, paying attention to the road, he did not see it. I reached my house a few streets down and got ready to leave the gym with the thought of the scarecrow figure still running in my head. I need to reach my house. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I'm looking. I saw a comment. I borrowed my sister's car as I normally do, and I decided before I head to the gym, I would drive by to make sure whatever it was would still be standing there. I took up my phone as I left my house and started recording a video on my phone to show my sister, who I just mentioned the situation to. I get back to the school with the camera still rolling, and I see that whatever the figure was had disappeared. I sped off, slightly freaked out, and figured I was probably just seeing things. I get back home from the gym, and I watch the video I had recorded. It begins at my house, down the street, around the corner, and a few turns to the school. The video gets to the point where I'm slowly pulling up beside the school. But right as I'm about to see the pile of dirt and the scarecrow, the video cuts off randomly. The screen goes black, and my phone spazzes for a second. I try to watch it again with the same result. Corrupted video file? This was really strange because I specifically remembered it recording as I drove by because I was staring directly at the phone to point it. I drove home, barely slept, and have been thinking about it since 2 days ago. Yesterday, I was able to use my sister's car during the day as she had carpooled with her husband. I was able to leave work as soon as the clock struck 9 because I wasn't relying on my boss to take me home. A block away from home, I thought I would try and take a video again of the school. I turned the car around and went toward the school. I started the video recording again, and everything was working normally as it did 2 nights ago. Behind the school, the dirt mound was significantly smaller than it was the first time. There was one person walking alone in almost complete darkness behind the school. The only light source, again, was the orange-tinted streetlight partially covered by a tree. Still recording, I stopped the car in front of the school and examined the man closer, not before locking my doors and rolling up the windows. He was a larger man, but not tall, as he was hunched over more than 90 degrees, but not looking downward. His skin was extremely pale, and even in the orange light, I could see the whiteness of his skin tone. He wore a dirty black trench coat, black pants, black boots, and what looked like a black top hat or a fedora. The man was walking aimlessly and looking as if he was having some sort of mental breakdown. He was waving something around and hitting things, and I realized he was blind and he was waving around a walking stick. I figured I should help out, considering he looked lost and confused, so I turned into the school's parking lot with my high beams pointed directly at the man. The camera was still going. He paused for a second, looked up toward my car, and stopped hunching over. Standing straight, all of a sudden, he was over 6 feet tall. He stood like a deer in headlights, and the light seemed to almost reflect off of his face, so I wasn't able to see details. Suddenly, he started sprinting, full speed, toward my car. I threw it in reverse as quickly as possible, turned back onto the road, stomped the pedal through the floor, and didn't dare look in my mirrors until I got home. At some point, I had thrown my phone that was recording the video onto the passenger seat and hadn't realized until I got home. I hit play on the video, and at the exact same spot that it had before in the previous video, it cuts to black and goes completely silent. I leave again for work in a few hours, and I have to drive by the school again. Womp, womp, womp.
A little creepy.
So yeah, if you're not familiar with Creepypasta, that's what they are. That's what they sound like. You know, it's very first person, very detailed in terms of like, yeah, I'm using my sister's car. My sister and her husband they carpooled that day, so I took the car by myself. It's fun though. It's fun, right? Because they're always written as if they could be real.
Oh, they always could be real. My favorite creepypasta, it's a little it's not Slender Man related, but it's creepypasta related. Is the Russian sleep experiment. I don't know if any of you know that one, but it's basically an account that is purportedly from medical records in Russia in the 1940s about experiments that they did on people, and it is terrifying. I kind of want to read it, but
How long is it? We got 10 minutes. How long is it?
It's about that. Let me read it.
Let's do it.
I'll pull it up. This is a little different, but it's very creepy, and I like it quite a bit. So let's pull it up here. Great. This is called the Russian sleep experiment. Russian researchers in the late 1940s kept 5 people awake for 15 days using an experimental gas-based stimulant. They were kept in a sealed environment to carefully monitor their oxygen intake so the gas didn't kill them since it was toxic in high concentrations. This was before closed-circuit cameras, so they had only microphones, 5 inches thick glass porthole-sized windows into the chamber to monitor them. The chamber was stocked with books, cots to sleep on but no bedding, running water, and toilets, and enough dried food to last all 5 for over a month. The test subjects were all political prisoners deemed enemies of the state during World War II. Everything was fine for the first 5 days. The subjects hardly complained about having been promised falsely that they would be freed if they were submitted to the test and did not sleep for 30 days. Their conversations and activities were monitored, and it was noted that they continued to talk about increasingly traumatic incidents in their past, and the general tone of their conversations took on a darker aspect after the 4-day mark. After 5 days, they started to complain about the circumstances and events that led them to where they were, and started to demonstrate severe paranoia. They stopped talking to each other and began alternately whispering to the microphones and one-way mirrored portals. Oddly, they all seemed to think they could win the trust of the experimenters by turning over their comrades, the other subjects in captivity with them. At first, the researchers suspected that this was an effect of the gas itself. After 9 days, the first one of them started screaming. He ran the length of the chamber, repeatedly yelling at the top of his lungs for 3 hours straight. He continued attempting to scream, but he was only able to produce occasional squeaks. The researchers postulated that he had physically torn his vocal cords. The most surprising thing about this behavior is how the other captive reacted to it, or rather, didn't react to it. They continued whispering to the microphones until the second of the captives started to scream. The 2 non-screaming captives took the books apart, smeared pages after page with their own feces, and pasted them calmly over the glass portals. The screaming promptly stopped. So did the whispering to the microphones. After 3 more days, the researchers checked the microphones hourly to make sure they were working, since they thought it was impossible that no sound could be coming from 5 people inside. The oxygen consumption in the chamber indicated that all 5 must still be alive. In fact, it was the amount of oxygen 5 people would consume at a very heavy level of strenuous exercise. On the morning of the 14th day, the researchers did something they had said they would never do to get a reaction from the captives. They used the intercom inside the chamber, hoping to provoke any response from the captives that they were afraid were either dead or vegetables. They announced, "We are opening the chambers to test the microphones. Step away from the door and lie flat on the floor, or you will be shot. Compliance will earn you, one of you, immediate freedom." To their surprise, they heard a single phrase in a calm voice respond, "We no longer want to be freed." Debate broke out among the researchers and the military forces funding the research. Unable to provoke any more responses using the intercom, it was finally decided to open the chamber at midnight on the 15th day. The chamber was flushed out with stimulant gas and filled with fresh air, and immediately voices from the microphones began to object. 3 different voices began begging, as if pleading for the life of loved ones, to turn the gas back on. The chamber was opened, and soldiers sent in to retrieve the test subjects. They began to scream louder than ever, and so did the soldiers when they first saw what was inside. 4 of the 5 subjects were still alive, although no one could rightly call the state that any of them were in alive. The food rations past day 5 had not been so much as touched. There were chunks of meat from the dead subjects' thighs and chests stuffed into the drains in the center chamber, blocking the drain and allowing 4 inches of water to accumulate on the whole floor.
Oh.
Precisely how much of the water on the floor was actually blood was never determined.
Oh.
All 4 surviving test subjects also had large portions of muscle and skin torn away from their bodies. The destruction of flesh and exposed bone on their fingertips indicate that wounds were inflicted by hand, not with teeth as the researchers initially thought. Closer examination of the position and angles of the wounds indicate that most of them, if not all of them, were self-inflicted. The abdominal organs below the rib cage of all 4 test subjects had been removed. While the heart, lungs, and diaphragms remained in place, the skin and most of the muscles attached to the ribs had been ripped off, exposing the lungs through the rib cage.
What?
All the blood vessels and organs remained intact. They had just been taken out and laid on the floor, fanning out around the eviscerated but still living bodies of the subjects. The digestive tract of all four could be seen to be working, digesting food. It quickly became apparent that what they were digesting was their own flesh, which they had ripped off and eaten over the course of a few days. Most of the soldiers were Russian special operatives at the facility, but still many refused to return to the chamber to remove the test subjects. They continued to scream to be left in the chamber and alternately begged and demanded that the gas be turned back on, lest they fall asleep. To everyone's surprise, the test subjects put up a fierce fight in the process of being removed from the chambers. One of the Russian soldiers died from having his throat ripped out. Another was gravely injured by having his testicles ripped off and an artery in his leg severed by one of the subject's teeth. Another 5 of the soldiers lost their lives if you count the ones that committed suicide in the weeks following the incident. In the struggle, one of the 4 living subjects had his spleen ruptured and he bled out almost instantly. The medical researchers attempted to sedate him, but this proved impossible. He was injected with more than 10 times the human dose of morphine derivative and still fought like a cornered animal, breaking the ribs and arms of one of the doctor. When the heart began to beat for a full 2 minutes after he'd bled out to the point that there was more air in his vascular system than blood, and even after it stopped, he continued to scream and flail for another 3 minutes, struggling to attack anyone in reach and just repeating the word more over and over, weaker and weaker, until he finally fell silent. The surviving 3 test subjects were heavily restrained and moved to a medical facility. The 2 with intact vocal cords continued begging for the gas, demanding to be kept awake. The most injured of the 3 was taken to the only surgical operating room that the facility had. In the process of preparing the subject to have his organs placed back within his body, it was found that he was effectively immune to the sedative they'd given him to prepare him for surgery. He fought furiously against his restraints when the anesthetic gas was brought in to put him under, and he managed to tear most of the way through a 4-inch wide leather strap on one wrist, even though the weight of a 200-pound soldier holding that wrist as well. It took a little more anesthetic than normal to put him under, and the instant his eyelids fluttered and closed, his heart stopped. In the autopsy of the test subject that died on the operating table, it was found that his blood had tripled the normal level of oxygen. His muscles that were still attached to his skeleton were badly torn, and he had 9 bones broken in his struggle to not be subdued. Most of them were by the force of his own muscles that he had exerted on him. The second survivor had been the first of the group of the 5 to start screaming. His vocal cords destroyed as he was unable to beg or object to surgery. He only reacted by shaking his head violently in disapproval when the anesthetic gas was brought near him. He shook his head yes when someone suggested reluctantly that they try the surgery without anesthetic, and did not react for the entire 6-hour procedure of replacing his abdominal organs back inside and attempting to cover them with what remained of his skin. The surgeon proceeding stated that repeatedly that it should have been medically impossible for the patient to still be alive. One terrified nurse assisting the surgery stated that she had never seen the patient's mouth curl into a smile several times whenever his eyes met hers. When the surgery ended, the subject looked at the surgeon and began to wheeze loudly, attempting to talk while struggling. Assuming this must be something of drastic importance, the surgeon had a pen and pad fetched so the patient could write his message. It was simple. Keep cutting. The other 2 subjects were given the same surgery, both without anesthetic as well. And although they had been injected with a paralytic for the duration of the operation, the surgeon found it impossible to perform the operations while the patients laughed continuously. Once paralyzed, the subjects could only follow the attending researchers with their eyes. The paralytic cleared their systems in a normally short period of time, and they were soon trying to escape their bonds. The moment they could speak, they were again asking for the stimulant gas. The researchers tired asking again why they had injured themselves, why they had ripped out their own guts, and why they wanted the gas. Only one response was given: I must remain awake. All 3 subjects' restraints were reinforced and they were placed back into the chamber, awaiting determination what should be done with them. The researchers, facing the wrath of their military's benefactors for having failed the stated goals of the project, considered euthanizing the surviving subjects. The commanding officer, an ex-KGB agent, instead saw potential and wanted to see what would happen if they were put back on the gas.
Oh my God.
The researchers strongly objected, but were overruled. In preparation for being sealed in the chamber again, the subjects were connected to an EEG monitor and had their restraints padded for long-term confinement. To everyone's surprise, all 3 stopped struggling the moment it was let slip that they were going back on the gas. It was obvious at this point that all 3 were putting up a great struggle to stay awake. One of the subjects was speaking and humming loudly and continuously. The mute subject was straining his legs against the leather bonds with all his might, first left, then right, then left again for something to focus on. And the remaining subject was holding his head off his pillow and blinking rapidly. Having been the first to be wired with the EEG from most of the researchers, they were monitoring his brainwaves in surprise. They were normal most of the time, but sometimes flatlined inexplicably. It looked as if he were repeating suffering brain death. It looks as if he was repeatedly suffering brain death before returning to normal. As they focused on paper scrolling out of the brainwave monitor, only one nurse saw his eyes slip shut at the same moment his head hit the pillow. His brainwaves immediately changed to that of deep sleep, then flatlined for the last time as his heart simultaneously just stopped. The only remaining subject who could speak started to scream to be sealed in now. His brainwave showed the same flat lines as the one who had just died from falling asleep. The commander gave the order to seal the chamber with both subjects inside as well as 3 researchers. One of the named 3 immediately drew his gun and shot the commander point blank between the eyes, then turned the gun on the mute subject and blew his brains out as well. He then pointed his gun at the remaining subject, still restrained to a bed, as the remaining member of the medical researchers team fled the room. I won't be locked in here with these things. Not with you, he screamed at the man strapped to the table. What are you? He demanded. I must know. The subject smiled. Have you forgotten so easily? The subject asked. We are you. We are the madness that lurks within you all, begging to be freed at every moment in your deepest animal mind. We are what you hide from in your beds every night. We are what you sedate into silence and paralysis when you go to the nocturnal heaven that we cannot tread. The researcher paused, then aimed at the subject's heart and fired. The EEG flatlined, and as the subject weakly choked out, so nearly free.
That's awful. Holy shit, Ben.
Yeah, that was the first time I read that. I did not know that it was a creepypasta. Like I came across it on a site and it was like Russian experiment. And I was like, oh, crazy Russian experiments. And I lost my shit and went on like a whole thing and then learned it was not real, but it still scares the shit out of me.
The description of like the organs like fanned out around them is like so fucked up.
The demand to keep cutting is what always gets me.
Yeah, the laughing.
Yeah.
That's fucked up. That's crazy. That reminds me of some crazy shit. Dude, sleep deprivation is no fucking joke, man.
Yeah.
You literally go crazy.
And I feel like that's what I like about that creepypasta is like there's just enough like truth. It's not right, obviously, but then there's just enough there because it's like okay, yeah, that could be. I could see the Russians doing some crazy experiment to people in the 40s.
Dude, so this thing has been going around TikTok recently about like, do you know how we know that the human body is made up of 70% water? Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? Have you seen this? Did you see this?
No.
So I don't remember the guy's name, but when Japan invaded China, there was this like fucking general or some fucking asshole, you know, like the gobbles of Japan or whatever. And he wanted to do experiments on like Chinese prisoners of war. And he literally would like put them in a chamber and heat it up to evaporate the water from their body. Like they're still alive. He like puts them in this fucking oven and heats it up, and he like weighed their bodies before and then weighed their bodies after all of the water had been evaporated out of their system, and it was 70% lighter.
That's terrifying and terrible.
Yeah. And so, you know, when like true stuff like that is like real, then this kind of shit doesn't sound so fucking far-fetched anymore, right?
Right.
Holy shit. Kingston, you wants to know who wrote this creepypasta.
That's a good question. Let me look it up and see. That did remind me. What did you just say before that? You were just saying
when stuff like this is real, it makes sense that.
Yeah, I can't remember. There's something else that I was gonna say. It doesn't say who wrote it. It's on the original author unknown. It's on the wiki, the Creepypasta wiki, and I think that's one of the reasons why I like it so much. Because then, and there's even hold on. Let me see if I can. This is just a creepy picture that comes with it, but it's terrifying. There you go. Look at those guys in their masks.
I don't like that at all.
Yeah. Oh, now it went away because now it's a video. But yeah. Those guys are very scary. There you go.
Yikes! I don't like that at all.
Yeah. So even like old school gas masks were terrifying to begin with. Just like look, that's just
Yeah,
like
right.
that's just like without even doing anything. That's horrifying.
Right. It reminds me of like that Batman villain, like Scarecrow. Is that his
Yeah, it looks
bag
like
over his
Scarecrow a
head?
little bit. Totally.
Creepy as fuck. Yeah, upsetting. Upsetting. I have a true story, but I'm not gonna tell it. I changed my mind. It's 1:06 a.m. So hello, Endorphin 1880. You are late.
Coming in hot for the end.
We're glad you're here. You can always
Love
check
it.
us out next time.
Love it.
So that was some creepy ass shit. Thanks for sharing that. That was great. It's called insomnia. Funny, we were just talking about forced insomnia.
Yeah. Don't stay up for 5 days, Endorphins 1880, whatever you do.
Yeah, don't do it.
Gets real weird after that.
Yeah. So I think it's about that time we gotta wrap up. Ben, besides the Midnight Creepout, where can people find you?
They can find me on Monday nights, hanging out with David Thomas while he plays Grand Theft Auto with other people. It's really fun. We just hang out and shoot the shit while he's gaming. And then on Tuesday nights, what's going on is like a roundtable discussion on Tuesday nights, which is some of my favorite people. Both of the shows right here on 2MB, both at 9:00. Nice. What about you, Jess? Where can people find you?
Thanks for asking, Ben. Well, so in addition to hosting the Midnight Creepout, I also host a Sims 4 Let's Play or Let's Build show right here on 2MB on Sundays at 7 p.m. So if you like The Sims 4 or you just like me, then you should watch that.
Similar to Jess.
Also I play two characters on this channel's one of its premier titles, Quarantine Action Wrestling, which will be we're coming up on the series finale on October 24th. So until then, you can catch only two.
Only two.
I don't know what she's saying.
I don't know.
You can catch QAW's weekly show Pandemic on Thursdays at 8:00 p.m. right here on 2MB. And of course, you're going to want to come back for the next episode of the Midnight Creepout, which is going to be on... Oh, you know what? So normally, Ben, we haven't talked about this, but we have 5 Fridays in October.
Oh.
So I think maybe I definitely want to do one the 29th because it's right before Halloween. Is that okay, Ben?
That sounds great.
Let's do the 15th will be our next show. Is that okay?
Great.
So we're going to do, instead of the 2nd and the 4th, we're doing the 3rd and the 5th. Is that okay? So normally, Midnight Creepout is on the 2nd and 4th Friday of the month, but in October, it's actually going to be the 3rd and the 5th. Yeah,
really,
only two,
all you need to remember
only 2 characters.
is the 15th. The 15th of October is going to be our next show.
Yes.
Midnight.
At midnight. Here on 2MB Studios.
It'll be something creepy.
Yeah, it's gonna be something creepy. I don't know exactly what it's gonna be, but I'm itching to do another aliens thing because that's my wheelhouse. I'd really love to do the Chicago O'Hare Airport sighting. Ben, what is there something that you're interested in?
No, that sounds great. I love aliens.
Yeah.
I love aliens, so let's do it.
Yeah, if you have a suggestion of something you think we should cover, you should put it up on our Discord, on the 2MB's Discord on the Midnight Creepout channel, which I've kind of started to pay attention to. And there's all kinds of great shows on here, 7 nights a week, I believe. Still, is it still 7 nights a week? So you should check out. You should always come back. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you give us your Bezos bucks. Make sure you sign up for fucking Patreon and all the stuff.
Yeah, Patreon/2MB Studios. All that's good stuff.
Yeah. So with that, we're glad you're here. We hope you come back. We hope you enjoyed yourself. Yeah, come back on October 15th. But most of all, say it with me, Ben. We hope
you were
creeped
out.
We gotta get better at that.
Bye.
Bye.